This video will look at how to organize your speech. When organizing your speech, 3 is really the magic number. You should organize your speech in a way that is manageable to you as a speaker and will be memorable to a listening audience. So you could do this by having 3 different sections to your speech: an introduction, a body, and conclusion, and also having 3 main points in your body so that the audience has enough information to understand the topic, but is not overloaded with information. So this infographic is really good at giving you more information on how to organize your speech. So because speeches are oral, we have to make them memorable. In order to make them memorable, we need to understand how memory works. For speaking, short-term memory tends to dominate, so your audience isn't going to remember everything that you say. Organizing your speech for short-term memory will help listeners remember your message. So remember 3 sections: introduction, body, and conclusion, and 3 main points in your body. Your speech overview is where your speech purpose will be. This is what your speech is meant to accomplish. This is also part of your introduction. You should have your thesis statement in your introduction. So this is what you're actually going to say to your audience about the topic. And you should give an introduction to your main points in your speech introduction. Generally, you should only have 3 to 5 main points that you're going to focus on in your speech. Anything more than 5 is too much for short-term memory. So 3 to 5 main points, mention those main points in your introduction, have a thesis statement that has the purpose of your speech and what your audience is going to learn. There's different ways that you can pattern your main points. So it really depends on what your speech topic is. So you can use a format in which you go from one point to another. So I like this example that talks about a proposed building design. And so it goes step by step through the design. It talks about the first floor, then it moves on to the second floor, then the third floor. This is really good for if you have steps that an audience needs to understand. So they would follow you from the first step to the second step to the third step. It helps them to better understand what is happening in your speech. Organizing your speech in a time sequence or an arrangement of series of events in the order in which they occurred is another format that you could use. So if you're talking about an event that happened or an event that is going to happen, you would use this method. So it would go through a series of events through time so that the audience would understand what happened over the course of that time period. You wouldn't go backwards. You wouldn't start in the middle and go to the beginning and then the end. You want to go from start to finish. You can use a topical pattern format. So you present your main points in a series of topics. So the order isn't as important. You just focus all of the information together on each topic and explain that to your audience. Some of the challenges are figuring out how to transition from one topic to the next, and also determining what order you want to put your topics in. Usually you would do this by the ones that you feel are the most important to the least important, because the audience is going to be paying the most attention towards the beginning of your speech. Another format that you can use, and this is usually used for persuasive speech, which you will be doing later on in the semester, is the problem solution. So you name or describe the nature or character of a problem. You outline the effects or consequences of the problem, and then you come up with a way to solve the problem. So for this example that I included on here, it talks about childhood obesity. So in the United States, we're experiencing an epidemic of childhood obesity. The effects of childhood obesity are health problems, including premature death. So it's saying what the consequences are. And then it comes up with a solution to the problem. So better education and nutrition, policy reform, and more exercise. So like I mentioned, this is usually used for a persuasive speech. Another format is the cause and effect format. So this format, the speaker offers a well-established or researched support for their speech. We're going to use the childhood obesity idea again. So it's a serious and complex problem with multiple causes. So we say what the problem is, we talk about the causes, and then we talk about the effect that this has on people. Another method is the rambling method, and I strongly recommend not to use this. So don't use this for your speech. This communicates to the audience that you don't care about the speech, you don't care about the audience, you didn't conduct any research, and you're just trying to get by with your presentation. So this graphic, I like this graphic because it shows you really how the format of your speech should be. So you should have a strong introduction. So on the hourglass, it's at the top of the hourglass where it's more full. The body of your speech should give us the details, and then you should have a strong conclusion that wraps everything up. And for part of your speech, you need to create an outline. And this is the outline that I highly recommend that you use. It's a standard speech outline. It goes into detail your introduction. You mention your attention getter, your thesis statement, the preview to your main points. Then you go into the body of your speech where you mention each main point, support that you have for each main point, and then you have a section that's your conclusion with your summary and your final thoughts on the topic. So I highly recommend using this format for your speech outline, speech outlines for this class.